we're going to start with our perimeter of a rectangle formula. So perimeter equals 2L plus 2W.
Mrs. Locke, I can't hear you.
Cool. Ta-da! All right. Pick the pen back up. So putting in 138 for the perimeter, and we know the width is 31. So 138 equals 2L plus 2 times 31. So subtracting that 62, which is twice 31 over, we do get 76 equals twice the length. So again, I just did a substitution with the width going in for 31 and that 138 in for the perimeter. Last step here is going to take 76 and divide each side by 2. And we'll get that each length is going to be 38. Moving down to number 2. The length of a rectangle is 6x minus 4, and the width is 2x plus 7. So we like to draw a picture for those. Determine the perimeter of the rectangle in terms of x. So again, the perimeter formula is the same as above, 2L plus 2W. So we're going to put in parentheses as we make those substitutions. So the length is the 6x minus 4, and the width is 2 times the 2x plus 7. If you guys are writing this down, can somebody help me with the distribution?
I have a question.
Yes.
What does that say? 2 plus 7, like to the left of the square. What does that say? I can't.
Yes.
2x plus 7.
That says.
2x plus
2x
7
plus 7 from the.
Thank you. Couldn't see that.
Yeah, I'm trying to write fast and it doesn't show up as I'm talking. So distributing and combining like terms, we get 2 times 6x minus 4 is going to be 12x minus 8. And 2 times 2x plus 7 is going to give us 4x plus 14. Ooh, I forgot part of that 14 there. Sorry, guys. Combining like terms, 12x and 4x gives us 16x. Negative 8 plus 14 more is positive 6. So that's an expression to represent our perimeter. Looking at part B, it asks us to determine the area of the rectangle. So here we know area equals the length times the width. And going back up to the question, sorry, everything kind of shifted on me. The length is 6x minus 4. And the width is 2x plus 7. So here we substitute those binomials with parentheses, and now we need to double distribute. So 6x times 2x gives us 12x squared. 6x times 7 is positive 42x. The inners, negative 4 times 2 is going to be negative 8x. And last, negative 4 times 7 is going to be a negative 28. And here we want to combine like terms. So again, we have positive 42x minus 8 is going to give us 34x's in the middle. So the final answer for this one is going to be 12x squared plus 34x minus 28. And again, sorry about my handwriting here. My computer has a little lag time as I'm writing. So again, that's the area. So we put each binomial in as the length and the width, and we double distribute it. Number 3 is where, if you do have a graphing calculator, I'm going to ask for some assistance if anybody could help and maybe show it on their screen if you guys can see it. So looking at number 3, the side of a square is 10 square root of 5. So looking at the square, each side is 10 square roots of 5. Determine the area of a square. So what's our formula for area of a square? Anybody remember?
S2.
S to the 2. Yep, S squared. So if each side is this 10 radical 5, we're going to substitute with some parentheses. So 10 square root of 5 all squared is going to go into the calculator. So as you type this in, you're going to want parentheses.
Do you do it into y equals, or?
Nope, we're just looking at numbers here, so it should be on our home screen.
Yeah.
So if you guys can see my calculator screen, we put in, and I know it's backwards, sorry about that. But we put in 10 times radical 5. Remember to stop your radical symbol. And then on the outside of our parentheses is where we put the squared piece. And when we hit enter, we should get an answer of 500.
Wait.
Right. So 10 radical 5 all squared should get us an answer again of 500 is going to be the area there for number 3. Moving to the second side of this. Question number 4. Does somebody want to read it for us? Ms. Dobkins, could we find?
I can.
Thank you, Allie.
An area of a square is 125 inches squared. Find the length of each side in simplest radical form.
All right. So that's like a little hint that our answer isn't going to be a decimal for this. So the area of a square is 125 inches squared. So the formula we just used was A equals S squared. So we're going to put 125 in for A equals S squared. And could somebody tell me how to undo something squared?
Division.
So we don't get rid of it with division. If it was 2 times S, we would divide by 2 because that's undoing multiplication. But how do we undo these exponents?
Oh, you square root it.
Yeah, we take the square root of each side. So that's where we're going to get that radical sign. So when we take the square root of 125 and they want us to go to simplest radical form here, we're not going to type this into our calculator at this point. What we're going to do is branch into 2 radicals, and one of them has to be a perfect square. So if I list our perfect squares up at the top of our screen here, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. What perfect square from that list will divide nicely into 125? Well, I think multiples of 25 go 25, 50, 75, 100, right? If we think about quarters. So if we have 125, 25 will go into 125 5 times. So 25 times 5 is 125. And then the square root of 25, we put that perfect square out in front so that that can reduce to become a 5 times the square root of 5. So this radical 5 kind of carries itself over as part of our answer. Looking at number 5. The width of a rectangle is 9 less than its length. So we need to start with a diagram here. So if we draw a rectangle, the width is 9 less than the length. So length is listed second. So that's going to be our variable. I'm going to use an L. And 9 less than that, less than is one of our turnaround words. So it's going to be L minus 9. I'm writing it correctly and saying it wrong. Sorry about that. Length minus 9 is going to be representing the width there. If the total area is 136 feet squared, we're going to substitute into our area formula to find the length and the width. So if area equals length times width, this 136 feet squared is the A value. So 136 equals the length times this expression that we're representing using the width. So length minus 9. So with that case, the length times the width, we have to distribute on the right-hand side of our equation, L times L and L times 9. So we have 136 equals L squared minus 9L. And solving, we're going to subtract 136 from each side to make a trinomial. So our equation is going to read L squared minus 9L equals the 0 over here. I'm sorry, minus 136. So we have L squared minus 9L minus 136. So here we have a trinomial. To factor here, we're going to need an M and an A. Anyone know what our M and A are going to be for this three-termed case?
-9 for M.
Negative 9 is going to be our A, actually. So remember, it goes like alphabetically. A is in the middle, and M is over here at the M. So the M is going to be our negative 136. Thank you, Ian. So in this case, this is where having the graphing calculator is going to help us. And this is where we go to y equals. And we're going to type in negative 136 divided by x. Okay. So if you're into your graphing calculator, into y1, negative 136 divided by x. And then going into the table of values, we're trying to find a set of numbers that differ by 9. So if I arrow down here for you to the line with, I don't know if you guys can see that, 8 and negative 17. And again, I know it's backwards, best I can do right now. So 8 and negative 17 is our line. That would add to a negative 9. If we test that back to the home screen, 8 plus negative 17 differs by negative 9. So those are going to be our two factors here. So we're going to have a double bubble, and then we're going to need the t-chart step after this. And we have x, or let me use our same variable we had there, L plus 8 and L minus 17. So that when we set each factor equal to 0, our two answers will be L equals negative 8 and L equals positive 17, because we set each equal to 0 and we add 17 to both sides. So from there, can we have a length being negative 8? Can we say from here to here is a negative measure for that rectangle? We can't. So we're going to reject the negative, and we're going to keep the length as 17. So therefore, the length is 17 units or feet in this case. And then the length subtract 9 represents our width is going to be 8. So that 8 times 17 does give us that 136. Looking at number 6. Is everyone okay with that question? I know I'm going pretty fast here. We're going to come back to some like these on Monday, but I think the more we're exposed to it, it's been a few weeks since we've done them, the more we hear it, the better off we'll be in the long run. So looking at number 6, the length of a rectangle is 3 times its width. So the length is 3 times the width. So I'm going to put an X on the width here just to go back to a nice little variable. So if the width is X, the length is 3 times X. Assuming its area is 75, determine the dimensions of both the length and the width. So again, area of a rectangle formula is area equals length times width. The area measure they gave us is 75 equals 3x is the length times the width of x. Can somebody help me combine like terms on that side of the equation to solve here? What's 3x times x going to become? I don't think we've heard from
3x squared.
Braden. Thank you, Allie. So 75 equals 3 times x squared. So x times x there does become an x squared. Now we have to follow our PEMDAS rules, or our SADMAP rules, I'm sorry, for solving, is undo any addition or subtraction, SADMAP, or any multiplication division first. So we're going to undo this 3 times the x squared by dividing both sides by 3 first. And then 25 equals x squared. So again, how do we undo a squared case here? We take the square root. Thank you. So the square root of both sides is going to give us x to be 5. So if the length and width are the x and the 3x going back into the picture, if x is 5, that means the width is 5. And the length is 3 times 5 is going to be 15. So the length and width are 5 and 15 is going to be the final answer there for number 6. So that's it for the homework assignment that we wanted to do with you guys today.